My name is Rajiv Nayan. I'm the Vice President and General Manager for Digitate. And I'm going to talk about today how to scale autonomous IT and the agentic AI platform in a real life situation. I'll just speak into 5 stories to give you a sense of how it's getting deployed and what are the production outcomes, the value which the customers have realized. Before I do that, I'll just give you a sense of the business we are in. We started 10 years ago, ground up, based out of Santa Clara here. If you see, almost half of my 250 customer base has given responses to their usage of this platform, almost 120 of them, and the very high rating of 4.4 out of 5 on G2. It's, as I said, ground up. There are 110 patents on this platform across different technologies, and a very high ROI, which we'll talk about in some of the examples. As you can see, our journey and our focus is relentless on autonomous enterprise. Why that focus? Because we believe in the enterprise today, 70 to 80% of the work is repetitive or with the tacit knowledge of a lot of people. That can be decomposed into a new world technology like agents, and that can solve a lot of problems and free up people to do high-end work. And a lot of customers, what we experience today in our customer base, they're either on the assisted or augmented. That's where they are playing today. Our North Star remains to make it autonomous, and we'll talk about some of the examples there. Why is a market size puzzle? Because why in this business? If you see some of the Gartner data, this market, what we play with, and we have listed some of the product lines, what we offer to the market today, almost $31 billion market. So Digitate could potentially be a multi-billion dollar business if we play our game well, and if we start working with the customer and they start realizing the value, it's a much faster scale. Across the market motions, we are global. Our customers are in every continent, every industry. You can take the biggest for us is, of course, retail, pharma industries, banking, financial institutions, manufacturing. And we have a lot of stories and customers who talk about it, how they have used the product and what the value they have got out in each of the markets. So coming to the story which I talked about, 5 of those stories, if you look at a lot of business problems, what you see today, inherently happens because of technology. Something failed, as simple as a certificate was not renewed, and then a problem starts. And I'm sure you guys remember, 2 years ago, there was on one of the high frequency, retail day, one of the large retailers lost a lot of money because something was not working on their website. It's very common that technology fails and a business problem happens. So if you look at, for example, this story is from Tapestry, where somebody orders a nice Coach bag for their spouse or for an anniversary. It didn't reach. And I'll talk about how ignio has solved the problem. Another example is if somebody wants to get a prosthetic limb and they want to go for a surgery, but they're not able to get because the supply chain process for this prosthetic limb is not able to provide a definitive date when the limbs will be available. Another example is there could be a 49er games here, and some retailers do not have enough products on their shelf, and people are not buying, and they're losing the market share, and they're not willing. So I'll just talk about some of those examples here. On this one, Tapestry one, interesting one. If you look at Tapestry, they have 37 web fronts across the globe. They're high-end retailers. They value the customer's experience. Typically, the order comes through the 37 web fronts. It goes to order management system from IBM Sterling. It goes to some financial system for adjudication and payments, and then the shipping happens. In this whole journey, there's a lot of issues which happens from the batch job cycle, the master data issue, the promotion issue is not applied, the size of the bag, the color of the bag. A lot of those data issues and inconsistencies can happen across the journey of order coming to a web front, to order management system, to financial system, to the logistics system. And we have understood that journey, mapped ignio into that, and today ignio is processing completely almost 100,000 orders across their systems, and they're saving multi-million dollars for them because of that proactive nature of the ignio agents working on those issues to solve that problem. And that comes with a combination of what we do, the horizontal observability and the vertical stack understanding through the inference, what we get from the data which comes from their monitoring tool in their environment. And we understand how those proactive nature of the problem happens. fix it much faster if it has already happened, or try to prevent it from happening at the first place. And that's the journey which we have taken for them. We are going into as simple as when something has happened, we have deployed for them where, as a consumer, if I'm expecting a product to be late, I call them, and there are a lot of issues the customer service agent gets. Ignio will read the sentiment of that email, and it can bump up the priority of that email to the customer service agent and make an immediate phone call. And that's the level of service you're able to provide through the use of our agents in the system. The other example is a large pharma company. Their problem was they've acquired several businesses over the years. They have a lot of solutions, and the supply chain process, their demand planning process for prosthetic limbs goes through different systems. They have 70 different interfaces through the data moves. Typically, if the interfaces doesn't work right, the data doesn't move, you cannot do the demand planning. Or for a surgery to happen, you need a surgeon, you need a hospital, you need a patient, but you need that limb. And if that limb is not confirmed to the hospital, the surgery cannot happen. And that's what we have reduced from weeks to hours, because we are able to monitor those 70 different interfaces to ensure that the system works fine, the data flows through, and the demand planning process could be completed. The third example is very interesting, very large company, global brand. They again go to direct store delivery model. They sell a lot of day-to-day consumer products which we consume. And typically the order flows through in the very high frequency and high volume, almost $20 billion worth of products they sell and fulfill to the stores in the United States itself. And the journey goes through from the order which the route agent will take in the store. They put it in some systems that goes through the several SAP systems internally, then goes to their manufacturing plants, which are very localized in nature, and goes to the shipping on the trucks. In that whole journey process, there are a lot of issues. One simple example could be creation of manifest. If that stops, the truck cannot move. So we have understood the whole journey and deployed ignio in the whole value stream of how that fulfillment happens right from the order taking to the movement of the trucks to the store. And that's how we are removing the issue. In last, I would say 6 months, we have avoided 12,000 orders, which is worth multi-million dollars for them, which could not have reached to the shelf. And you can imagine in a retail environment, that's a very highly competitive environment. So that's the value we have created for these examples. And these three are just a simple use cases. We have done much more than that in these kind of environments. If there's any question, I'll move to another example.
We're running a little low on time, so I think we're going to avoid the questions.
Sure.
Yeah.
So this is more about a very enterprise scale transformation for a large distribution company. They deal in the pharma goods distribution. If you look at, we have deployed across their cloud, their infrastructure, their applications, the complete event management layer. From the events perspective is managed by Ignio today. Almost more than 20,000 CIs, almost 220 applications, very critical applications for them. Ignio is working at almost 80% noise reduction. That what it means at the command center, the team is not looking for needle in the haystack. That is done by the Ignio event management agent. We do a lot of automation, almost 110,000 hours of the work which the humans used to do has been being done by the Ignio agents today. Very critical business function, what they do in the distribution center, they almost process $1 billion worth of products through their distribution center every day. It's very critical and heart of their operations. So on their shipping cycle, they have almost 500 issues every day because something would break from the technology perspective. So we have deployed Ignio on that process to start with, so that those 500 issues, which was taking maybe 2 hours to resolve, is getting resolved in less than 5 hours. And those are very critical FDA regulated process where you need validation at each step of the process. And that's the machine is doing today. Of course, there are a lot of automated ticket creation which happens in that environment, almost 220,000 every year, which seamlessly Ignio agents are doing today. And the idea, the intent is that more and more agents can cut through the work which the humans are doing to avoid the error, remove the delays, and if at all something has happened, make the issue feel like a blip. That's what we are trying to do in this enterprise. Another example, very large retailer. again, they're a front store retailer and a pharma retail company, 9,000 stores. Well, I'll just take one example of that 17 million revenue assurance. Typically, if you walk into a store and if you scan a product and if you did get a promotion applied or a price applied, behind the scene, what happens, those store clerks either can give you a $199 because they know what the price of that product is, you can pick up, or you can drop the product and walk out of the store. Both are not a good situation. But post that, the store clerk goes at the back office, create a ticket and says, this product does not have an item or a price or a promotion. That takes almost 15 minutes for them to create. They go back, that ticket goes back to the corporate systems, passes through the merchandising team, the SAP team, the business finance team, the pricing team, the batch jobs overnight, and then the next approval comes and the batch cycle the next day, possibly that price and promotion is applied to the POS system in that store. That's the journey which goes through. It takes almost 25 to 30 minutes, just the individual time which it takes in that process. That all work has been now onboarded to ignio. What we realized that the loss of the revenue because of this problem in that environment was $17 million. And the effort which they were putting as a team for 4,500 tickets every week was $5 million every year. So one use case, we have elevated their revenue by $17 million and reduced their cost by $5 million. So there are a lot of other examples which I'll talk about from the MTTR perspective, which you see they have 30x improvement. Average was taking 2.81 days. Now with ignio, it's less than 10 minutes. A lot of customer experience which has been improved. I think just last two slides in the interest of time. This is the scale and complexity we are managing today. Of course, agents and agentic platforms are very relevant in today's context. We have been doing this for the last several years. Almost, I will give you a data of last year, almost 300 million automated actions our platform has taken. We process almost 1.2 billion events at 87% noise reduction. What it means for our customers that this much of volume of work is not being done by humans. It's being done by ignio agents today. Of course, SAP is a big, and IDOC processing is a big element in any enterprise when you see how the SAP works. And reprocessing and using that ability to solve that problem gives a lot of business benefit to the customers. And finally, as I said, autonomous is the operating model which we believe, and we are relentless focused about that journey to ensure that we eliminate so that the business disruption doesn't happen because of IT, or we can ensure that IT finds before a business finds that problem, or if the problem has happened, we can self-hit super fast that the situation looks like a blip.